You're in the wild, you're hungry, you haven't eaten in days, and your body is screaming for calories. You see a bush covered in bright, inviting berries. Do you eat them? That decision isn't just about lunch, it's a literal gamble with death. One wrong bite, and your nervous system shuts down, or your heart stops, or you spend the next 3 days in agony. But humans didn't just survive in this environment, we conquered it. We turned the deadliest forests and the most toxic landscapes into the pharmacy and the grocery store that built the modern world. How did they know? How did a human 50,000 years ago, with no textbook, no internet, and no lab, figure out which plants were lifesavers and which ones were instant killers? It wasn't magic. It was the most brutal, scientific trial in human history. Every single piece of knowledge you have today was paid for with someone else's life. We were the ultimate guinea pigs. And the story of how we stopped dying is the story of how we actually became human. Before we ever dared to taste a plant, we were students. For thousands of years, our greatest laboratory wasn't a room, it was the savannah. We watched, we studied, and most importantly, we copied. If you saw a baboon eating a specific fruit, you didn't see a monkey having lunch. You saw a survival guide. You watched which leaves they avoided, which berries they ignored, and which ones they gorged on. If the animal survived, you noted it. If it got sick, you moved on. This was the biomimicry of survival. We were piggybacking on millions of years of animal evolution. The animals had already done the hard work, filtering the world through their own guts. Our job was just to be better observers. But observation wasn't enough. Nature lies. Some plants look delicious, but are laced with neurotoxins. So, we developed a sensory filter. Humans have an incredibly sophisticated palate. We evolved to detect bitterness, which is nature's universal warning sign for alkaloids and toxins. This is why children are so picky eaters. It's an evolutionary safeguard. Your tongue is literally a chemical sensor, checking for threats before your stomach has to deal with the fallout. We weren't just eating, we were conducting a chemistry test with every single bite. Observation took us far, but it couldn't solve the biggest mystery: plants that were nutritious, but deadly. The solution wasn't just finding new plants, it was learning how to break them. Enter the fire. We discovered that heat does more than just cook food. It acts as a chemical eraser. Many plants use toxins as a shield against bugs and animals. But heat? Heat breaks those chemical bonds. Cooking effectively pre-digests the plant, neutralizing the toxins and unlocking calories that our stomachs could never access raw. Then came the accident that changed everything: fermentation. You leave some grain or fruit in a jar, forget about it for a week, and instead of rot, you get something new. It's a second layer of safety. The microorganisms involved in fermentation, the yeast and bacteria, are essentially competing with the pathogens. They sanitize the food while adding a kick. We weren't just eating anymore, we were doing chemistry. We had become the only species on Earth that used fire and controlled decay to reshape the chemical makeup of our environment. We weren't just following the food chain, we were hacking it. But this didn't end in the Stone Age. We took that library of knowledge, what kills, what cures, what burns, and we built a foundation. Look at your medicine cabinet today. Aspirin? It's derived from willow bark, a remedy used for thousands of years. Morphine? Poppy plants, known since ancient times. Every time you swallow a pill, you're using a chemical shortcut discovered by someone who didn't have a pharmacy. They had a forest, a hunger, and an incredible amount of guts. They were the original scientists, conducting experiments with their own lives as the control group. Today, we've lost that connection. We trust the label on the bottle, but we've forgotten the cost of the information inside it. We aren't better at surviving than them. We're just standing on the shoulders of people who died, learning the lessons we now take for granted. So, the next time you feel a bit bored or frustrated with the modern world, remember, your existence is the result of a 50,000-year winning streak. You are the descendant of the best observers, the most careful tasters, and the bravest experimenters in history. Surviving wasn't luck. It was the hardest job our species ever had. And we didn't just survive, we thrived.